Anybody else in your caravan?
Inside a cluster of caravans, more suspects, all Romanian, are being questioned.
Where is your passport?
The migrant surge has pushed Britain to its limits, and now the Labour is scrambling to fix what they let spiral out of control.
They are on benefits. The government is giving them council houses. Huh? The illegal people are coming into this country, you're giving council houses, big houses.
Labour's hypocrisy is exposed, and people are furious at their shambolic handling of the migrant surge issue.
President Trump has got more done in 5 days than Labour has in 6 months.
Border immediately halted all entry of illegal border crossers, of which there were many.
After months of public outrage, the immigration authorities in the UK are raiding for illegal workers. But why did it take a huge crisis to get here?
Increasing numbers of EU nationals are abusing the common travel agreement the UK has with Ireland to enter the UK illegally and work, GB News can reveal.
Yes, many Romanians and Bulgarians in particular are avoiding border checks by crossing from the Republic, with others simply arriving on tourist visas and then finding work and then outstaying their visa.
Well, our Home and Security editor Mark White was given exclusive access to accompany immigration enforcement teams who've increased the number of raids they carry out by
Record numbers of illegal workers have been arrested as UK authorities crack down on migrants abusing the system, but it is already too late.
Under the cover of darkness, immigration officers and police move into this large agricultural business in North Wales.
No one up there? No, I'm in touch.
They're on the hunt for immigrants working here illegally. And it doesn't take long to find their first suspect.
On you now?
The man they've detained is a Romanian national.
The government is raiding businesses caught employing illegal migrants, yet the sheer scale of the issue raises some serious questions.
6 months. Visit visa?
Yes.
Okay. Right. You're not allowed to work with that, okay? So at the moment, okay, you're under arrest, okay, for breaching the conditions of your leave to remain in the UK. Do you understand?
As fellow officers search for other suspects, the Romanian has walked back to his accommodation on the site for further checks.
Anybody else in your caravan?
Inside a cluster of caravans, more suspects, all Romanian, are being questioned.
Where is your passport?
Illegal workers are not just breaking the law, they're exploiting Britain's resources, pushing taxpayers into poverty.
Many others are simply arriving on tourist visas and then finding employment in breach of the law. As officers question the suspects with the help of interpreters over the phone, it quickly becomes apparent why some are willing to take the risk.
Okay, so how much do you get paid?
1,000 a week.
£1,000 per week.
For those employing illegal workers, these enforcement raids can be very costly indeed, with fines of up to 45.
As Britain's economy struggles, illegal immigration is adding to the crisis, straining housing, healthcare and jobs while the Labour Party scrambles to regain control.
First concern is safety, really. And if our government doesn't know who's in this country, then I don't feel particularly safe, and I know a lot of women and girls feel exactly that way. I must say that a lot of people getting in touch saying, oh, this is the low-hanging fruit, this is the easy stuff when it comes to illegal migration, workers who could have previously been on seasonal worker visas and things like this. Would you agree with that?
Illegal workers have been slipping through the cracks, but now, with mass arrests and public backlash, the government is under pressure to finally take action.
Today, however, Labour unveiled plans to make it easier for illegal immigrants to stay in Britain. Oh, and they don't even want you to call them illegal immigrants anymore. So in America, Trump is sending illegals to Guantanamo Bay.
Today, I'm also signing an executive order to instruct the Departments of Defense and Homeland Security to begin preparing the 30,000-person migrant facility at Guantanamo Bay. Most people don't even know about it. We have 30,000 beds.
While Donald Trump is taking strict actions against illegal migrants, Labour's idiotic policies are pushing Britain into more and more darkness.
Whereas, over here in Britain, the Attorney General appointed by Prime Minister Keir Starmer has just pledged total lifelong allegiance to the ECHR, the same body that keeps telling us we can't deport foreign rapists and paedophiles because of their human rights.
Now, I'm proud to say that since taking office, this new United Kingdom government has taken steps to uphold our obligations and the international rules-based system. The new United Kingdom government.
People are deeply frustrated with how the shameful Labour leadership is robbing them of their rights.
Table changes to the illegal immigration bill. Currently, anyone who enters Britain illegally cannot ever claim asylum, and there is a duty to deport them. Now, Labour want to remove that. Why on earth do they want to do that? How can they say this?
Serious answer is to smash the gangs. We have to take those gangs down, to smash the gangs that are running this vile trade, to smash these gangs.
And then change the law to incentivise illegal immigrants to come to Britain.
They must treat the migrant surge as a national emergency. Keir Starmer promised to be tough on illegal migration, throwing around dramatic statements about smashing the gangs. But let's be honest, this was a pure delusion. If Labour was serious about stopping illegal immigration, why did it take them this long to act? Where was this urgency when our borders were being flooded and crime was surging? Now Starmer wants to play hero, but the truth is, he's just scrambling to clean up his own mess. This isn't about real action, it's just another desperate attempt to manipulate public opinion while Labour continues to fail this country.
Despite breaking into Britain, they say they want to smash the gangs, but they have put a huge sign on the White Cliffs of Dover saying, "Come on in, lads, you're all welcome." Doesn't make any sense. The Tories betrayed Britain with the Boris wave of millions of foreign nationals and their relatives, and it does appear that Priti Patel isn't sorry about that.
Would you like to apologise to all the people that voted Brexit for the fact that you misled them and saying we're going to take back control of our borders and then you threw them open and let in millions of people?
That is totally distortionary and that's not true.
We can't deny the reality that Tories had caused a disaster for the UK by using Brexit to create an open borders experiment, pushing mass migration in the UK for years. But Labour's shameful behaviour of supporting illegal workers is beyond comprehension. The hypocrisy is off the charts. This isn't leadership, it's pathetic deflection. Starmer knows his party is losing public trust, so he's resorting to political theatre, acting outraged by starting a crackdown while supporting the illegal migrants by giving them the same perks as the hard-working taxpayers.
They're literally going to make it easier for people who come to Britain to stay in Britain illegally. It's insane. Saying that Britain is open for business, Keir Starmer tweets this. Look at this. With my government, Britain is open for business. Well, the problem is, Sir Keir, under your government, Britain is open to absolutely anybody else as well, isn't it? As other countries get tough, Britain has gone soft.
Keir Starmer's Britain isn't just open for business, it's open to absolutely anyone who wants to walk in, stay illegally, and take advantage of a system that's already on the brink. While other countries are toughening their immigration policies, Britain under Labour is rolling out the red carpet. Starmer is making it easier for people to stay in the UK illegally, sending a clear message that border control is nothing more than an afterthought to him. This isn't just incompetence, it's a deliberate choice to weaken Britain's sovereignty while pretending to be in control.
A journalist asked Keir Starmer a couple of days ago whether he would take action by following our call, the Conservatives' call, for a hard, legally binding annual cap, where you basically just stop giving out visas when you hit a certain very low number. And Keir Starmer said no, he's not gonna do that. So it's quite clear this Labour government are not gonna sort this out.
Yes, but with respect, Mr. Philp, you had 14 years to implement a hard cap and to stick to a hard cap.
Starmer and his cronies are screaming that the Conservatives had 14 years to fix immigration, but what's their own grand solution? More open borders, more uncontrolled migration, and zero accountability. The irony is painful. Yes, the Tories failed to act, but Labour isn't offering anything better. They're just shouting from the sidelines, pretending to care now that the public is furious. If Labour actually cared about border security, they'd be calling for strict enforcement, but instead, they're just playing the blame game while doing absolutely nothing to protect Britain.
Net migration up by 5 million people coming to this country by 2032, which is 9 Manchesters in 7 years, by the way, is based on previous data. That's data that happened under your watch. So you didn't get a grip on migration, and that's why we're seeing the figures coming through now.
Well, first of all, between 2010 and up to about 2020 or 2021, we were still obviously in the European Union, and then we were in the exit mechanisms afterwards, where free movement still applied.
Even Tories have their excuses for the surge of illegal migrants, but who is paying the price of sheer negligence by authorities? It is British people who are suffering from crime rises, public services stretched to breaking point, and they are left behind. Other nations are securing their borders, but Labour is handing out incentives for people to come and stay illegally. The UK's soft approach is a disaster in the making, and the British people are the ones paying the price.
That hard cap concept that did work under Cameron, it was 20,000 for non-Europeans. We need to reintroduce that hard cap where you just basically stop giving out visas once the number has been met. That will be a very low number, I can tell you that now, a very low number, and it will be entirely prioritised towards people with high levels of skill who are going to earn high wages, and because that's the kind of immigration that might help small numbers of very highly skilled people.
And let's be real, how long would it take Labour to stop giving visas to low-skilled immigrants? We need to stop this stupidity now. Labour's hypocrisy is staggering. Starmer boasts about making Britain a hub for investment and economic growth, yet his real agenda is turning the UK into a sanctuary for low-skilled immigrants and illegal migration. While hard-working British families struggle under high taxes, low growth, and no reform, Labour is making sure illegal immigrants get an easier ride. The rest of the world is cracking down on illegal crossings, but under Starmer's watch, Britain has gone soft.
We passed an act of parliament called the Illegal Migration Act, which said that illegal immigrants can never, ever get citizenship, right? That was the right thing to do, that we did in government, the Conservatives. Labour are now going to scrap that. So illegal immigrants can get citizenship, which is a complete disgrace. And because Reform, unfortunately, stood in all those seats last summer, and they handed Labour that landslide, this is what Starmer is now doing with that landslide, giving illegal immigrants citizenship rights.
And just when you thought Labour's hypocrisy couldn't get any worse, here comes Starmer handing out British citizenship to illegal immigrants. Instead of cracking down on those who break the law to enter the country, Labour's solution is to reward them with passports and full access to taxpayer-funded services. This isn't just reckless, it's an outright betrayal of every hard-working Brit who plays by the rules. Labour isn't fixing the immigration crisis. They're making it worse, encouraging more illegal crossings while pretending to care about border security.
And this will make your blood boil and curdle this morning, as it did with mine. My jaw dropped open, actually, when I read this headline. This is the front page of the Sunday Telegraph. Wait for this. We talk a lot about illegal migration on this programme. The Prime Minister, here's his brilliant new idea. He's going to ease the rules for illegal migrants. What? Yes, let me just tell you about this. Labour is watering down border laws designed to block illegal migrants from attaining citizenship.
Labour's immigration policy isn't just weak, it's a full-scale surrender. At a time when countries across Europe are shutting their doors to illegal immigration, Starmer is throwing Britons wide open. The new border security bill is nothing but a smokescreen for mass migration, gutting Tory policies that at least attempted to secure the borders. The most outrageous part is that Labour is actively repealing laws that would have blocked small boat arrivals from gaining citizenship. Instead of sending illegal immigrants back, they're rolling out a welcome package, making Britain the softest. Who is this government really working for?
Checks. So they're repealing rules that were introduced by the Tories that meant that small boat arrivals could never become citizens. If you remember, this was under the Illegal Migration Bill. So what that bill said, and I will remind you, if you came here on a small boat, you cannot claim asylum. That is the linchpin of that bill. You will be detained for 28 days and removed. Any future asylum claim is invalid. You have a lifetime ban. So Labour is going...
Let's call this what it is, a betrayal of the British people. Starmer's Home Office is making it easier for illegal immigrants to game the system by scrapping scientific age checks, opening the door for grown men to be placed in schools and housing with vulnerable teenagers. We already know that smugglers coach migrants to pretend they're underage because children are more likely to be granted asylum. Last year alone, over 1,300 cases were flagged for age fraud. Instead of cracking down, Labour is making it easier for them to slip through. It's reckless, it's dangerous, and it's deliberate.
It's really scary, and I think it opens another gateway for them just to think, hey, this is an easy touch, let's come to England.
I mean, it's interesting. I will side with the Tories at this point because they did try very hard. Whether they actually succeeded or not remains to be seen. But the illegal migration bill I thought was a massive step forward. We then had the Rwanda bill that went through. And of course, the first policy that Keir Starmer repeals was Rwanda. I do not understand that. To this day, I still don't understand that, because surely you need to get it through to see whether it is a...
Britain under Labour has become a joke, an open invitation for illegal immigration. The Tories' Illegal Migration Act made sure that those who entered the country illegally would never gain settled status or citizenship. Labour is now repealing that safeguard, making it clear to every people smuggler and economic migrant that if they make it across the channel, they'll be staying for good. And it gets worse, Labour is even scrapping the legal duty to remove illegal immigrants. If you come here illegally under Starmer's watch, deportation isn't a risk, it's an empty threat.
Why would you trust someone who has come here illegally when there are safe and legal routes into the United Kingdom?
Exactly. And, we discussed this before. I always say, if you're a legal immigrant, it's somebody who's absolutely just wanting to flee, whatever it is that's happening in the country.
That if you are being persecuted.
You would go through the proper channels, but why would you spend thousands of pounds, what is it, about the average of £5,000 they pay to go across on a boat that is, they know that could...
And where does this all lead? Straight into the pockets of British taxpayers. The cost of housing illegal immigrants is already spiralling out of control, with thousands being put up in hotels while British citizens struggle to afford their own homes. Labour knows exactly what they're doing. They won't release the real cost of their policies because they know the truth is damning. Studies from Denmark, the Netherlands, and the OBR show that low-skilled migrants are a massive drain on public finances, costing hundreds of thousands per person over their lifetime. And yet, Labour is rushing through asylum claims to hide these numbers in the welfare system.
According to a recent report, 1 in every 12 people living in London is now believed to be an illegal migrant. This staggering statistic not only highlights the scale of the immigration crisis we face, but also raises serious questions about the effectiveness of our border control and immigration policies. Now let's start by putting this into perspective. London is a city of roughly 9 million people, but it's now home to an estimated 750,000 illegal migrants.
The stats show that Britain is doomed. This is the real sinister plan. Flood the country with illegal immigrants, bury the cost in welfare budgets, and hope no one notices the long-term consequences. Britain isn't just open for business under Starmer, it's open for abuse. While the rest of the world wakes up, Labour is doubling down on the failed policies that have already brought chaos to Europe. The Tories may have failed on immigration, but at least they tried to fix it. Starmer isn't even pretending to care. The British people deserve better than a government that puts illegal immigrants before its own citizens.
The sheer number of illegal migrants in London raises serious concerns about the strain on public services, on housing and the job market. It's a situation that demands immediate attention and action from our government. So how did we get here? Well, the roots of this crisis can be traced back to years of lax border controls and ineffective immigration policies. Despite promises from successive governments to take back control of our borders, the reality on the ground tells a very different story.
Labour's track record on immigration has been nothing short of a disaster, and the latest revelation that 1 in 12 people in London is an illegal migrant proves just how catastrophic their policies have been. This isn't just a minor statistic, it's a damning indictment of a government that has utterly failed to protect Britain's borders. Labour has long championed open border policies under the guise of compassion, but the reality is that their incompetence has led to an immigration crisis spiralling out of control. This massive influx of illegal migrants isn't just an abstract issue, it directly impacts housing, jobs, public services, and social cohesion. Yet Labour continues to turn a blind eye.
The influx of illegal migrants further tightens the market, potentially driving up costs for law-abiding residents. Thirdly, huge amounts of job market distortion. Illegal migrants often work in what we call the shadow economy, undercutting wages and potentially taking jobs from British workers. Fourthly, community cohesion. Such a large, undocumented population can lead to parallel societies, undermining social cohesion and integration. It's clear that the British public is...
The NHS is already on its knees, struggling to cope with the pressures of legal residents, yet now we see 750,000 illegal migrants adding to the burden. Who foots the bill? The British taxpayer. Our schools, transport and housing markets are all stretched beyond capacity, yet Labour remains deaf to the concerns of ordinary Britons. Instead, they prioritise ideological virtue signalling over practical governance, refusing to acknowledge the deep economic and social consequences of unchecked illegal migration. Meanwhile, British workers are forced to compete in an increasingly distorted job market where illegal labour undercuts wages and drives up costs for everyone else.
A recent poll found that 65% of people felt the government should do more to remove illegal immigrants. This sentiment is reflected across various demographic groups and political affiliations. Moreover, the public's faith in the government's ability to handle the crisis is at an all-time low. A staggering 79% of voters disapprove of the government's track record on this issue. This lack of confidence is a damning indictment of our political class's failure to address one of the most pressing issues of our time.
Labour's reckless immigration policies have led to an undeniable crisis, triggering public backlash and exposing their sheer incompetence. Yet Labour remains tone-deaf, refusing to take accountability. Their hypocritical stance on border control is laughable. While they claim to protect working-class Britons, their sinister plan has only fueled economic mismanagement, leading to high taxes, low growth, and increased pressure on public services.
However, given the scale of the problem we face in London, these measures seem woefully inadequate. The situation in London is nothing short of a national emergency. We need a comprehensive and robust approach to tackle illegal immigration. Here are some steps that should be considered. Number 1, strengthen border controls. We need to invest more in our border force and technology to prevent illegal entry into our country.
The British public's frustration is at an all-time high as Labour's double standards on immigration become more obvious. Labour's disastrous handling of this issue just adds another layer of disgrace. If they continue down this path of government hypocrisy, Britain will pay the price while Labour avoids the accountability they so desperately deserve. This isn't just a failure, it's a national humiliation, proving that Labour's delusion over migrants' issue has completely detached them from reality.
Number 3, we need to crack down on employers. Businesses that knowingly employ illegal migrants should face severe penalties. Number 4, address the pull factors. We need to review and potentially reform policies that may incentivise illegal migration, such as access to certain public services. Number 5, international cooperation. We must work more closely with our international partners to tackle the root causes of illegal migration and disrupt the smuggling networks.
Labour's repeated failures have not just allowed this crisis to unfold, but have actively encouraged it. Their resistance to tightening border policies, their soft stance on deportations, and their unwillingness to address the realities of mass migration have turned London and the UK into a haven for illegal entry. Even now, as the scale of the crisis becomes undeniable, their response is tepid at best, with empty promises and vague commitments with no real action. The British public has had enough. A government that refuses to defend its own borders is unfit to lead, and Labour's abysmal handling of immigration is just one more reason why it cannot be trusted with power. Let us know your thoughts in the comments and raise your voice by subscribing to us. Together, we can make Britain great again.